Hello, hello, and thanks for stopping by. This is Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars for the Nintendo Wii. This is a crossover fighting game that was released in 2008 by Capcom and developed by a company called Eighting. I'm going to start this review by saying it doesn't feel like a Wii game from the very start. I know that I'm really new to playing Wii games. I did play Wii Bowling back in the day when it came out because everyone and their brother that I knew played that game. My entire family played that game, my aunts, my uncles. That was the only one I'd really played for the longest time. I ended up buying this game because I happened across a random internet search and this game happened to just be on the Wii. After playing it, it really doesn't feel like it belongs here. But we have a Street Fighter type fighting game, and the roster is filled with Capcom characters from various games, and that's mixed with anime characters from various Tatsunoko properties. They've had many different anime series in the past 40 or 50 years. They use characters from those. You may or may not recognize some of them. Personally, I was attracted to this game because there are 3 characters from Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. The English translation of that particular property that at least I watched was called Battle of the Planets, but it had multiple translations. This was just a series that I loved when I was a little kid. I'll link to some history of that particular show in the comments. There's this really awesome documentary that's worth watching. Multiple, actually, but the channel I'm going to link to is called Toy Galaxy, and the whole channel is worth watching. I actually think they run this channel out of the next town over from where I live. There are Street Fighter characters present as well, at least a few of them. There's also Mega Man, and you can actually unlock the character Frank from Dead Rising. If you're a fan of Capcom properties, you might enjoy this character roster. Being that this is on the Nintendo Wii, and this is a fighting game, you need to worry about how you're going to control your characters. There are multiple control schemes available, because you could use the Wii controller, you could use a GameCube controller, or you could use the gamepad attached to a Wii controller. I first tried the GameCube controller because I thought that was going to be the best one, but I found myself having a really tough time figuring out how to play this one. Eventually I switched to the Wii gamepad, and it works pretty well. I don't play a lot of fighters these days, but back when I did play this type of game a lot, I played Street Fighter 2. That was it. We're talking old school arcade game. It was ported to a dozen systems, of course. Some were actually quite good, but that's my overall frame of reference for games like this. It's a 2D arcade style fighter, and I believe it has 3-dimensional backgrounds. It runs, it looks great, it's bright, it's vibrant, definitely, but the handling of the characters is the thing that I'm struggling with a little bit on this one. It's getting better. When we talk Street Fighter, I have a better understanding of how the characters attack. I understand their timing, their attack range, and how the different moves are supposed to work. Here, I'm starting over from scratch again. I'm just not having the same level of success. There are definitely some things that I don't like about this game, and I say this knowing that a lot of other fighting games probably do similar things here, so take that for what it's worth. The first thing that I find strange is when I get a multi-hit combo on a character. On screen, it could pop up a text. It pops up damage that I've just done, and it might say 4.36 billion damage in this big, flashy lettering. It is a total waste for a fighting game. I don't want to read anything on the screen during a game I'm trying to play. The words are totally inconsequential to what's actually going on. The game's moving fast. I'm trying to pay attention to character movements and what's happening. Instead, I get these useless messages that are a massive distraction on screen, and I hate it. Also, 4.3 billion in damage? That makes the classification of billions mean nothing. It's laughable at best, considering that 4.3 billion damage is not enough to even come close to killing a character unless they're almost finished from the start. So, what good is having a scale so large? The number becomes useless. Before you start, you need to choose the characters you want to play. In most cases, you are going to choose 2 characters to fight, but there are a few really large, gigantic characters, and if you choose one of those, you only play 1 character. You're going to fight as you play the game, of course, and you're going to switch back between the different characters as you play. So you're going to have 2 full health bars to work through before you win or lose this game. Playing this game on the default settings to start, it honestly felt like it took forever to get through a round. It just seems like the default settings might be far too generous. You have to seriously beat people down for an extended period of time before they fall, and I guess I was a little surprised at that. Were this in the arcade, I would think they're probably living too long. But there are plenty of settings to mess with here, so even you can adjust the damage, so I cranked it up to 4 out of 4 in the options. It didn't really make too much of a difference, I don't think, in terms of how long the games run, but I don't know. I guess I was just expecting to feel a little more like Street Fighter in terms of how quickly you should be able to beat somebody up. This is also one of those games that as you're playing, if you jump upwards, the screen is going to move up as well. It can be really disorienting, and it does take some time to get used to. This is a team event, so usually you have 2 characters, and you have a specific button that lets you either call in your partner to attack, or to switch them out permanently. And this is particularly useful once you're comfortable with how the fighting moves work for both of the characters that you're using. If you're really familiar with one and then not another, it will be more difficult. I'm not very well versed in these fighting moves yet. 1 or 2 characters I'm starting to get better at, but overall, if you switch between characters, their movesets are different, so you have to adjust to each one. Playing the same character for a while will make this easier, but obviously when you play a game like this at first, you probably want to try out a whole bunch to see what you're looking at. I certainly have my preferred characters, but I'm definitely still learning on this one, and it's really one of those games that you're not going to fully get until you put in many, many hours of gameplay. I'm certainly impressed with how nice these models look. I mean, it's gorgeous. I've not paid much attention to the Wii overall, and now that I'm giving the system a look and I'm seeing the graphics here, these graphics look great for an arcade-style game, and the backgrounds are really cool too. You'll recognize some of these backgrounds belonging to specific Capcom properties, I think. You can actually fight in the mall in Dead Rising, which I think is pretty clever. Well, that's all I have today for Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars for the Nintendo Wii. If this is your type of video, please feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and thanks for stopping by to take a look. Hope to catch you on another video.